morning, everybody. So I had a question about neutral spine. What is it and why? So I'm just going to talk about that briefly. Since I'm not seeing you, it puts a lot of the responsibility for taking care of your back on you. So let me give you a little information. It's worth doing this from time to time. When I say neutral spine, I'm talking about the position that doesn't create excessive extension, which would be a contraction of the lower back muscles, or flexion, which would be a stretch of the lower back muscles. So the neutral, you know that when we lie on our back with our knees bent, there's a place where the lumbar just settles into its natural curve. That's neutral. Depending on what's going on in your spine, sometimes those other two extremes can be helpful. If you have a spondylo, any of the spondylo conditions, for example, you definitely want to work with the flattened lower back. There's none of you that I think are watching have told me that you have that condition. But if you do have a spondylo, you really want to flatten the back. Often if you have a stenosis, also flat back is helpful. However, if you have a disc bulge, sometimes the opposite. Sometimes some extension is helpful. So you, more importantly, at least initially, to knowing what the name is, what you have, if you have some condition, is observing. So if you have numbness in your feet, or your lower back is chronically sore, it could be any of those. So you need to experiment. Try the flat back first, because that's safer if you have one of the more severe conditions. And if we don't have a back condition, if the toes are not numb and your back feels fine, what's the deal? To me, it's a matter of having facility to use the body in different ways, to direct your effort the way that you want it to strengthen different muscles by using different muscles, by using them in different positions. Why neutral generally rather than flat back in that condition and that situation is, this is where we live. I have been taught that since we live in this upright position, we'd rather be able to support the natural curves of the spine, which do have a natural curve to them, rather than only get strong here, which would be what happened if you constantly work in a flattened back position. So we don't ideally want to be moving through life tucking the tail under the whole time. That can make your toes numb and eventually create problems. So we're trying to support the natural curves of the spine, basically. So we're going to try some flat back and some neutral spine in the different positions and exercises today. If you do have numbness in your feet or chronic back troubles, you may eventually need to go get some imaging. It's really the only way that you can really find out what's going on. And, well, we'll leave it there. Since I'm not meeting with any of you in person, that's the best I can say for now. Okay, so we'll come down into constructive rest pose. When we lie on the back with the knees bent, there's a little bit of, probably, depending on your back, but this is the most relaxed position for the back. Take a moment and stretch your legs out, and you're going to feel your lumbar curve increase. The spine's going to pull away from the mat. So just by straightening the legs out, we get a deeper lumbar curve, which means that the muscles in the lower back are contracting. And conversely, if you bring your knees into your chest, and you'll feel your lower back go flat, now you're slightly lengthening or stretching the lower back muscles. This is called flexion. So the place in between where we are when we have our feet down but the knees bent, hopefully you can find a place where the neutral spine is relaxed. You don't feel either a tightening, a contraction, which is flexion, or a stretching or lengthening, but a relaxed neutral. However, as I said before, if you do have a spondylo, even here at the beginning, we would want to flatten the back. And sometimes with a stenosis as well. So we're going to assume that we're not working with either of those severe conditions and come to a relaxed neutral to begin. And feel there, as when we're in the relaxed neutral, the tailbone is on the mat and your lumbar curve is presenting in its natural curve. That may look different from person to person and even a little different from day to day for you. But again, my goal is that you find a place where there's neither compression nor stretching of the lower back muscles as we begin. And then relax up to the upper back. Broaden the shoulder blades and relax the arms. And relax the neck. If you need something behind your head so that your neck is not compressed, in other words, if your chin is up towards the ceiling, then you're in cervical extension, you're contracting the neck muscles. So if you need something behind your head to prevent that, please take that. So I want you to come to your belt, attention at the transversus abdominis. Make it really broad so it covers the whole torso from the hips to the low ribs. Take an inhale and picture that big broad belt. And then exhale, snug it around the low torso without changing the position of the lower back or pelvis. And then relax that. So you're going to feel that as a movement around the torso. Probably not going to affect the feeling actually in the spine. It may feel a little better, a little more supported, but it shouldn't feel contracted there. Let's do that a couple more times. Picture the belt, and with the exhale, gather it around. So you're supporting that neutral position. And then relax with the inhale. The pelvis and the lower spine are staying still, whether you're engaged in the transversus or relaxed. Once again, picture the belt. And then exhale, wrap it around. And then relax. Now we're going to feel the difference between that and the flat back. First, I want you to feel the flat back without using the transversus at all, and that's simply a pelvic tilt. Now, the muscle that does that is the rectus abdominis, which is attached from the sternum down to the pubic bone, and it's the most external, and it doesn't wrap around the whole torso like the transversus does, or even to some degree the obliques does. It just goes up and down. So feel this as you exhale. Pull your pubic bone towards your belly button and imagine the distance between the sternum and the pubic bone decreasing. And just by engaging that muscle, you're going to get some tilt in the pelvis. And there should be a pretty good sensation at the front of the body, and then relax. So do that a couple more times. With your exhale, we're going to pull the pubic bone towards the belly button. And then think of this pubic bone and sternum coming towards each other. And then relax that. And one more time. Exhale, tilt the pelvis. And then relax. So this is a very useful muscle, and it helps us do our movements, moving around in space. However, it doesn't wrap around, so it's not the best way to support the spine, actually. Let's feel the combination of those two things. Picture the belt first, wrap the belt around, and then tilt the pelvis. And now you've got a lot more comprehensive support. And then release. We'll do that again. Wrap the belt around first, and then tilt the pelvis. And now you've got some support for your spine. And then release. As you're doing that pelvic tilt, try not to push off of your feet. One more time. Wrap the belt around first, and then tilt the pelvis. And feel that degree of support. And then relax. Okay, we're going to move up to the obliques and bring the hands behind the head. As you inhale, feel how your ribs are flaring out and pulling away from the mat. With the exhale, pull your front ribs together and bring them down towards the opposite back pockets. This is accentuating your external obliques. Inhale, open the ribs with the breath, and then with the exhale, imprint the back ribs down into the mat to accentuate the internal obliques. That doesn't flatten your lower back, just the back of the rib cage. And inhale, let the ribs flare. And again, go to the front ribs and knit them together, accentuating external obliques. And inhale, let the ribs flare. Notice the back ribs. And exhale, imprint the back ribs down into the mat. Make sure you're working with the back ribs, not the lower back. We'll eventually put them together, but I'd like you to feel the two different muscles doing their jobs. Inhale, let that go, and let the ribs flare. And exhale, front ribs knit together. And relax with the inhale. And then exhale, imprint the back ribs. And then relax. Okay, let's bring the arms up to the ceiling and soften the humeral heads into the shoulder joints. Take an inhale, thinking of your belt. As you exhale, wrap the belt around. Just do the belt to stabilize the lower back as you reach your arms back towards the floor behind you. Inhale, bring the arms up. And then flip them down to your sides. I'm going to do it like that one more time, just engaging the transversus abdominis, the belt. Inhale, arms float up. Picture that broad belt of support and wrap it around with the exhale as your arms go back, keeping your lower back still. Inhale, bring the arms up. And then exhale, bring the arms back down to the sides. So now we're going to feel what happens when we tilt the pelvis. So let's draw the pubic bone into the belly button without pressing off of the feet. We're just going to work with that. Inhale, bring the arms up towards the ceiling. And keep tilting the pelvis as you bring your arms back towards the floor behind you. Just feeling the tilt of the pelvis. Inhale, arms float up. And exhale, arms come down. So yes, it is possible to stabilize your pelvis there. But again, it's all in the front. So let's add the belt. Inhale, prepare. Exhale, find your belt to wrap it around. Then tilt the pelvis, again without pressing your feet into the floor. Inhale, your arms float up. Now your back is flat and you're going to maintain it. Keep thinking of the belt wrapping around and the tilting of the pelvis. That feels a lot more supportive than just tilting the pelvis. Inhale, arms up. And exhale, down. Keep that position. We're going to keep the flat back and add our ribs in this time. Inhale, arms float up. Keep using your belt, the pelvic tilt, and then wrap the ribs around and imprint them and come back. Feels a bit different in the rib cage when you keep the back ribs down. You might feel more stretch in your armpits. Inhale, arms float up, still keeping the back ribs down, the pelvis tilted, the belt wrapped around. We're going to do it one more time like that. Inhale, arms float up. Exhale, wrap the belt, tilt the pelvis. Knit and imprint the ribs, reach the arms back, flat back. Inhale, arms float up. And then exhale, arms come down. And now relax, let yourself return to neutral. And then we're going to do it the way that we normally do. I want you to feel the difference when we take that pelvic tilt out. Inhale, prepare. Exhale, wrap your belt around. Inhale, bring the arms up towards the ceiling. Now keep your neutral spine as you reach back, knit and imprint the ribs. So you do have the ribs imprinting, but you have your neutral spine in place, no flat back. Inhale, arms float up. And we're going to add a head lift with the neutral spine. Exhale, lift your head. Reach the hands outside the thighs. Inhale, arms float up. Keep your neutral spine, your ribs knitting and imprinting, and reach back. Feel that belt wrapping around. And inhale, arms float up and go to the head lift again. When you do the head lift, you are engaging the rectus abdominis. So see if you can feel that pull from the pubic bone to the belly button, even if you don't tilt the pelvis. Inhale, head down, arms up one more time. Exhale, reach back. Use your belt, ribs knitting and imprinting, arms behind you, neutral spine. Inhale, arms up. Keep the neutral spine and exhale, lift the head. Now you can feel that muscle coming up from the pubic bone, even with the back in neutral when the head's lifted, because that's its other action. And then lower down and relax. So give into gravity, give yourself a moment to release. I hope you could feel the difference when you were using the comprehensive stability. We really need that base core. If we rely only on the rectus abdominis, which is the most superficial, it's the six-pack, it's strong and it can do crunches, for example, but it's like holding up a building with the scaffolding on the outside. We need the foundation, and then we can have the strong superficial muscles. But if we rely too much on strengthening them or strengthen them too much initially, they'll just overpower, and you're going to miss that support for the spine. Okay. Bring your thumbs onto your low ribs. Your fingers resting on the front of the pelvis. We're going to alternately engage neutral spine and lower back, and maintain neutral spine and lower back as we do some alternate leg lifts. So first in neutral. Exhale, inner core, wrapping the belt, knitting and imprinting the ribs. Float the right foot up. Keeping the pelvis still, the back steady. Lower the foot down. And bring the left foot up. And lower back down. Keep stabilizing. And re-anchor. We're going back to the right side. We have the belt, the ribs knitting and imprinting. Want to feel those points at the ribs and the hips staying steady. Bring the left foot up. And lower it down. Now we're going to add a flat back. So relax everything for a moment. So for some of you, this is just another skill. And for some of you, it's protective. Engage the inner core. Now we're going to tilt the pelvis, knit and imprint the ribs. Notice that your fingers and your thumbs got closer to each other. Keep them at this closer distance as you lift the right foot up and lower it down. Keep the flat back and lift the left foot up and lower it down. Again, keep the flat back. We're going back to the right side. Lift and lower, flat back and lift the left and lower, flat back and release. So you may feel like, well, there's a lot more work there. Why don't we just do that? Because we do want to strengthen in neutral. I will say that Pilates initially taught his method always with a flat back. In the classical Pilates, that's called the powerhouse. So it's just a different approach, and that's how I happen to be trained. It makes sense to me that we want to be able to be strong in neutral. But let's also challenge ourselves today to be strong with the flat back. Engage the inner core. Tilt the pelvis. Knit and imprint the ribs. So now we've got everything flattening down towards the mat. The tailbone is actually curled up off of the mat. Keep that flat back and lift your foot. That's not so hard. Now keep the flat back and extend the leg out. Still maintaining the flat back, bend the knee. And re-anchor. Now watch out as you lower your foot. Your back's going to want to arch, but keep it flat down. Keep those imprinting ribs. Keep tilting the pelvis, and then bring the left foot up. And extend the leg out, maintaining the flat back. Bend the knee in. And re-anchor. Keep flat as you lower down. And return to the right foot. Keep flattening. And reach out 45 degrees with the leg. Inhale, bend the knee. And re-anchor. Keep your flat back. And return to the left side. Keep flattening. And stretch out through the heel. And bend the knee. Keep flattening. Keep tilting the pelvis and imprinting the ribs as the foot comes down. One more time, each leg. Right up. Reach out with the flat back. And bend the knee. Keep tilting the pelvis, lower down, and go to the left side, and reach out. Keep the flat back, and lower the foot, keep the flat back, and then relax to neutral. Release completely. We're going to engage around our neutral, finding the belt, hitting and imprinting. Lift the right foot up, keep imprinting and bring the left foot up as well. Let's do a cycle of compound leg lifts. Lower the right down and then bring the left down. Keep your neutral, bring your left up, keep knitting and imprinting, bring the right up. Lower the left down, stay neutral, stay imprinted, lower the right. Last time we're going to come up with the right, stabilize, come up with the left, and then stay there. Now relax your shoulders, keep your arms down on the floor, bring your knees and feet close together, and then pull the pubic bone into the belly button and flatten your back. Now we're going to do pistons with a flat back. So bring the legs hip distance apart again, keep your shoulders relaxed, keep your belt wrapped around and your pelvis tilted and your ribs knitting and imprinting, and lower the right foot down. Keep your flat back. It should feel different from what you're used to. Lift and then lower with the flat back. One foot at a time. Exhale, right foot down. Keep the flat back. Keep the shoulders relaxed. And lift and exhale. Keep the flat back as you bring your left foot down and up. Once again, right side, flat back. Relax the shoulders. Keep the back flat as you lower the left down. Let's do it one more time with each leg. Okay, one hand to each knee, relax the belly, relax the legs, and let's do the hip circles. Circle them wide. Go ahead and let your pelvis wobble. That might feel really nice to give yourself a little massage around the sacrum. And reverse the circles. Keep the legs passive. And bring the knees in. Use your hands to pull the knees in close to the chest. Feel the lower back stretch. And then maintain that flattened lower back. Release your arms. Move your knees out. And then we're going to lower the right foot, keeping the back flat. And lower the left foot, keeping the back flat. And relax to neutral. Okay, preparing for the 100 with a flattened back. Engage your inner core. Knit and imprint. Tilt the... No, sorry, we're going to tilt the pelvis with the feet up. So keep your neutral, lift the left foot up, imprint, and bring the right foot up. Draw the pubic bone to the belly button to flatten the back. Bring your arms down by your sides, palms down. Press the palms down, lift the head, chin into the chest, and keep the back flat as you extend the legs out. You might need them a little higher than you normally do. Exhale for 5 pulses, and inhale for 5. Knees can bend as well. Exhale for 5. And inhale for 5. Keep the back flat. Exhale. And inhale. Exhale. And inhale. Exhale. Keep flattening the back. And inhale. Now don't forget, you still have your belt. And you still have your back ribs imprinting. Exhale for 5. And inhale for 5. Exhale. Keep flattening the back. Pressing your ribs down may help you there. One more time. Exhale. And inhale. And bend the knees. Don't grab them with your hands. Put your arms down on the floor and pull the knees in close to the chest. Now the back flat. Now keep your back flat. Lower your right foot down. I'm sorry, your left foot down. And then your right foot down. Keep the back flat. And relax to neutral. Okay. If you have a small ball or something, like a folded towel or blanket, get that and place it between the knees. I'm going to do some fall squeezes and pelvic lifts with the ball, with something between the knees. If you don't have any of that, you can use a folded pillow. You can even use a toilet paper roll. So we'll keep the Arms relaxed at the sides. Feel the neutral. Wrap the belt around. Knit and imprint your ribs. Keep your neutral spine and squeeze into the ball with your neutral. And release. Keep your core, release the squeeze. Keep your core engaged. Press in again. We're staying in neutral. Pressing into the ball and then slowly out. Exhale, stay neutral. And release. By the way, it's ball season in the grocery store, definitely, the dollar store. Get yourself one of these balls. It's really a great tool. It's worth having. I just saw them, I think, at Hannaford the other day. And then relax. Now we do the same thing with a flat back. So engage the inner core, tilt the pelvis, knit and imprint, and keep the back flat as you squeeze into the ball. And relax the squeeze, but keep the back flat. Shoulders are relaxed here, face relaxed. Try not to have any extra tension. Just engaging around with your belt, tilting the pelvis and knitting and imprinting the ribs. It's a lot of engagement, but no tension elsewhere, please. Of course, you're using your inner thighs. I assume you can feel that. Okay, then relax to neutral. And we're going to do a pelvic lift, alternately in neutral and in spinal flexion. So when we do our pelvic lift in neutral, our hinge is the hip joint. The spine is stabilized in its neutral position. When we roll through the spine, we go through each of the segments of the spine, each vertebra one by one. So it's quite a different experience and employs different muscles. Set up the neutral first. Feel the belt wrap around, knit and imprint. Squeeze into the ball. Keep your neutral. Keep your attention at your hip crease and push up to the ceiling with the neutral spine. Squeeze into the ball as you lift. Feel where your hip crease is. Notice your lower back. You still have a little lumbar curve there. And then to come down, just drop your hips down. The movement's in the hip crease. When your tailbone sits down, hopefully there's no excess release. You're already relaxed. Now relax everything, including the squeeze of the ball. And we'll set up a flat back. Engage the inner core. Tilt the pelvis. Knit and imprint. Squeeze the ball. So already your tailbone is peeled up off of the mat. To go into the pelvic lift, you peel your sacrum off, one vertebra at a time through the lumbar spine, and then up as far as you go. Oh, I'm sorry, if you have something behind your head, please take it out now, because you can feel that this pelvic lift lengthens the back of the neck. Now, when you come down, be sure you stay connected in your pubic bone to belly button. So we start by tilting, rolling down through the imprinting ribs, feeling the pelvis being tilted. We still have the belt wrapped around. We're still squeezing the ball. We roll down through the pelvis and finally release into the neutral. Okay, back to neutral. Engage the belt, the ribs knitting, imprinting. Squeeze the ball and hinge up. And then hinge down. Drop your hips straight down, keeping the spine still. And then add your tilt. And then curl the spine up off of the floor, one vertebra at a time. Tilting the pelvis and come down, rolling through the spine. So you're imprinting, you're still tilting, rolling down. We're going to release all the way into neutral and do it one more time. Neutral spine, so wrap your belt around it and imprint, squeeze the ball, hinge up. And hinge back down. Stay engaged and just tilt the pelvis and then roll up. Keep tilting the pelvis and roll down. Stop for a moment with the back flat and then release. Okay, let's take the ball out. Engage your inner core. Lift the right foot up. There's your neutral spine. Keep your arms passive for a moment and pull the knee into the chest, tilting your pelvis as you come in. There's your flattened back. Now keeping the back flat, we're going to extend the left leg straight out onto the floor. And there we are in a flattened spine with the leg extended. Take a moment there. Now we're going to move the knee out away from the chest slightly until the tailbone comes down. Wrap the belt around, knit an imprint. Extend the right leg to the ceiling. Take your hands on the back of the leg and support there, feeling that stretch. And then tilt the pelvis. And we're going to do our leg circles with the back flat. Release the arms. Keep the back flat 5 times each direction. So we have your pelvic tilt to think about, the belt, and the ribs, especially the imprint. 5 times one way and reverse, 5 the other. Keep the back flat. Now we're going to keep the back flat, bend the right knee. Arms are still on the floor, passive arms. The pelvis is tilted. I'm going to slide the left heel back in. Keep the back flat. And lower the right foot down to the floor. Then relax to neutral. Check that your neck and shoulders are easeful. Engage your low core, knit an imprint. Stabilizing your neutral left, lift your left foot up. And then without using the hands, pull the pubic bone to the belly button. Flatten the back. That's going to bring your left knee closer to your chest. In your flat back, slide your right heel away, keeping the back flat. Still not using the arms. Flattening the back. You're feeling your stretch in your front right thigh, the spine to the mat. And release your left foot out a little farther so you're in your neutral. Gather your belt around, extend the left leg to the ceiling. Just take a moment supporting the leg with your hands to stretch the hamstring as you tilt the pelvis, flatten the back. You're knitted, imprinted, belted, and tilted, and then circle the leg 5 times each way. Arms at the sides, relaxed in the shoulders. Please don't put your palms down and press into the floor. I want to not brace with the arms. 5 times the other way, keeping that back flat. Then we're going to keep the back flat without the help of the hands. Pull the knee into the chest. Your back is flat. Keep it flat. Lower the left foot to the floor. Keep it flat. Pull the right heel back in. And then relax into neutral. Take a moment there. Okay, we're going to turn over to the stomach. And place the hands underneath the forehead with the legs comfortably out behind you. Now again, I'm going on the assumption that no one has a spondylo of any kind. If so, this all would be contraindicated. If you have a stenosis, it also may be contraindicated, although you might be able to tilt the pelvis, and you'll have to observe your own outcome. So we're going to keep the hands where they are. Engage the inner core. Wrap the belt around. Glide the ribs. And press your forearms down into the floor. And raise your head and chest up off of the mat. Pull your breastbone forward. And feel that this is extending the whole spine, but especially the upper back. And then lower down. And then relax. Try it again like that. Feel the inner core, wrapping the belt around, gliding the ribs. Keep the hands on the floor and actually press the forearms down as you raise the chest and the head. So this could be a position if you have a disc bulge that actually is quite helpful, or if you tend to tuck your tail under and have a really flattened lower back. This can be a helpful way. to relieve back pain or even numbness in the feet and lower down. If there's a stenosis, though, it may be the opposite of what you need to do. So you could, in that case, and we'll all try it, engage the inner core, draw the ribs in, but then tuck your tail between your legs and keep the arms down the floor, raise the chest and head. You're not going to come up as far, but you still get nice upper back extension without putting so much compression in the lower back. So please notice that difference and see which one works for you better. Release back down and relax. And let's do that again. Find the inner core, glide the ribs in, and then tuck your tail between your legs. And keep the arms down on the floor as you raise the chest and head. For some of you, it might just be an interesting variation. For some, this could be really helpful. And release and relax. Now let's take the arms out long in front. Relax the legs. Engage the inner core. Glide the ribs in. We're going to keep those really low so it's just really focused in the upper back. Keep your elbows on the mat as you exhale to raise the chest and head. So not much effect in the lower back there. And lower back down. And again, wrap your belt, knit an imprint. Now if it really felt good to tuck your tail between your legs, you can do that here also. Keep your arms down on the floor as you raise the chest and the head. Draw the shoulders down, the breastbone forward without compressing the lower back. Supporting with your belt. And release. One more time. Find the belt, knit an imprint, and press down with the forearms as you raise the chest and head. Draw the breastbone forward. If you like, you can tuck your tail between your legs. And release. So please observe. So for some people, having a deeper lower back curve can really be helpful. When I was in my 30s, my big toes were numb, and I had to actually arch my lower back more. So we're going to come up into a Sphinx position. And again, if you know that you have a stenosis, you're going to really emphasize the tucking of the tail. But this may, even just this position, this is called the Mackenzie position or maneuver, just resting like this up on the forearms in the Sphinx. That can really relieve if you have disc bulge or just a posture where your pelvis is tucked under chronically. So we'll find your belt in any case, knit the ribs together, and try tucking your tail under. And then we're going to go into the single leg stretch, one leg at a time, bend at the knee, kick, kick, and then the other side, kick, kick, other side, kick, kick, and switch. The tucking of the tail under is nicer because it helps us to stabilize the pelvis. But if you know that you don't have a stenosis, you can try letting it hang down a little bit more. We still want to feel connected between the pubic bone and the belly button, even if you don't feel your tail tucking under so much. So it's not just hanging there loosely. We want to support for sure. Okay, when you're even on each side, let's move back into child's pose. Arms wherever you prefer them. Okay, and let's lie out on the left side. We'll do the side kicks. So you hear me say every time, feet a little bit forward of the hips. That's because that helps us to be in a neutral spine. If you have your feet right down directly underneath the head, you can try that. And even maybe you can feel with your fingers, your lower back muscles contract a bit because you're in some spinal extension there. So bringing the feet just a little forward, It helps with the balance, of course, too. But the reason is that we're trying not to have lower back extension during this whole exercise or series of exercises. We're going to work with the bottom leg staying on the floor today. So we're going to engage the inner core, wrap the belt, do an organ lift. Keep the bottom leg on the floor. Let's try hands up on the top waist, at least for this first one. I think you'll also be able to do this without your hand on the floor. So you can put your thumb on your ribs and your fingers on your pelvis after you feel your organ lift in place. Then make sure that those 2 points don't move as you lift and lower the top leg. 5 times up and down. We want to stay steady without the waist falling down towards the mat when the leg goes high. The leg is parallel, so we're just opening to the side, knee pointing forward. On the last one, leg's going to come down just to hip socket height. Feel those ribs and hips. Circle your leg 5 times. Since the bottom leg's down, if you usually have it up, you might try going a little bit bigger with the circles, but keep it slow and really concentrate on keeping the relationship between the ribs and the hip steady. 5 times the other way. And to the center. Again, restabilize, belt and organ lift. We're going forward and back. Monitor those ribs. Make sure your shoulders don't come forward. I'd rather have you put your fingertips down than to rock back and forth with the shoulder girdle. So fingertips down if necessary. If you have your hand up on your waist, monitor what's going on there. Keep the ribs and the hips still. After 5 in each direction, we're going to externally rotate, flex the foot, and bring the heel down towards the front. It may or may not actually touch the floor. Lift your leg, internally rotate, and reach the toes down towards the back. Lift, flex, roll out, heel front. Lift, point, roll in, toes back. Lift, flex, roll out, heel front. Lift, point, roll in, toes back. 2 more times. And roll out, and then roll in. Okay, I'm going to pause, lower both legs down and relax a moment. Then re-engage your inner core, re-engage your organ lift, squeeze the inner thighs together, lift both legs up. Now fingertips can be on the mat if you like. Externally rotate both legs. And raise the top leg up, lower the bottom leg down, and bring them to the center. Scissors wide in turned out position. And to the center, come into parallel, flex the feet back and squeeze the toes, point the feet, fan the toes, flex back, squeeze, point, fan, flex, squeeze, point, fan, flex and reverse. With the open toes, reach, squeeze the toes and come back. Open the toes, reach, squeeze and come back. 1 more time. And release. I'm going to bring the right knee to the floor in front of you and stretch your right arm out to the side. Just stretch the hip out. And then roll to the back and hug both knees into the chest for a moment. And then we'll come to rest on the right side. So you can take a moment and see what it feels like if your legs are straight underneath you. A little bit of tone engagement in the lower back. Or bring the feet slightly forward and find your neutral spine. So we do want the feet a little forward to be in neutral. Top hand on the top waist for the first exercise at least. Engage the inner core. Take your organ lift. Feel the tone in the waist. Feel the stability in the ribs and hips relative to each other. 5 times up and down in parallel. Come down to hip socket height, circle 5 times each direction. The other way. Check that the hips and the ribs are still. And then come to the center, hip socket height, fingertips on the floor if you need to. Exhale back and inhale forward. Keep the ribs and the hips nice and still. Inhale forward. Make sure you're knitting your ribs as you exhale and come back. And inhale forward 2 more times. And come to the center. Externally rotate your leg, flex your foot, and bring the heel towards the front. Point, roll in, bring the toes towards the back. Lift, roll out, flex, heel to the front. Lift, point, roll in, toes to the back. Flex, heel to the front. Point, roll in, toe to the back. Twice more, external rotation in the front and internal rotation in the back. And then return to the center, relax. And reset the inner core. Organ lift, squeeze the inner thighs, both legs up. And we externally rotate both legs and scissor. Top leg up, bottom leg down, turning out with both legs. Come to the center, both legs lifted, inner thighs engaged, parallel position, flex the feet back. Squeeze the toes, point the toes, fan and flex back. Squeeze, point, fan, flex, squeeze, point, fan and flex, and reverse it. Reach out with the toes open and pull back. By the way, make sure that your feet are still a little forward of the hips. If you let them float back in space, then your lower back's going to be working. And lower down. I'm going to bend the left knee to the floor in the front, and then open the left arm out to the side. Feel your hip stretch. Bonus stretch in the shoulder. Slow breath. And then roll to the back. Hug your knees into your chest. And then let's place the feet down on the floor and come to constructive rest pose. We're going to prepare for the abdominal series, which we will do with the back flat. We begin by stabilizing the neutral. So I'm insisting on this because we want to make sure that we have the belt always underlying. It's the foundation of every abdominal engagement. So first, get your belt around your neutral. Knit and imprint your ribs. Raise your right foot. Keep imprinting and lift the left foot. Keep your arms relaxed and tilt the pelvis to flatten the back. Now we're in position. Knit the ribs and imprint them a little bit more as you lift your head. Keep the back flat. Bring both hands to one leg and extend the other leg out for the single leg stretch. Keep the back flat as you switch. Pulling the pubic bone into belly button the whole time. Wrapping the the belt around and lifting the elbows high and wide. Flat back, chin into the chest. Now, bring your knees into your chest, put your head down, keep your back flat. And then re-engage belt, Tilt of the pelvis, knitting and imprinting. Lift the head. Back is flat, hands come up to the knees. Keep the back flat. You're really going to need to keep your ribs imprinting to do that. And extend both arms and both legs away from the center. And inhale, bring the knees back around. Now we do get to flatten the back. We keep the back flat, so you get to have that little moment of stretch, if you like, when the knees are to the chest. Push away with the legs, reach out with the arms. Keep the back flat. Away from the center, scooping the belly in and imprinting the back ribs. Good, now keep the knees into the chest, put your head and arms down, so you're back flat. And we're going to relax, or move the knees out away from the chest to neutral. Engage around your neutral, lower your right foot. Keep neutral, lower your left foot. Relax a moment. We're going to set up the single straight leg and the double straight leg the same way. Engage the inner core, knit and imprint. Keep neutral. Lift your left foot up. And then your right. Keep your arms down. Tilt the pelvis. Feel the belly button pull into the spine. Lower back, flatten down. Knit and imprint a little bit more to lift your head. Keep your back flat, straighten one leg up. Take the other leg straight down with the back flat. Switch the legs. Make sure you're pulling your belly into the spine the whole time. Tilting the pubic bone to the belly button. Elbows lifted high and wide, chin into the chest. Now bend the knees, put your head down and your arms down, back is flat. Reset, find your inner core, tilting the pelvis, knitting and imprinting. I'm going to bring the hands behind the head and lift it up, keeping the back flat. Stretch the legs up to the ceiling and keep the back flat as the legs come down just a little bit. Be sure you don't arch the spine and lift back up. Keep the back flat and come back up. Now this is an exercise that you might want to try with a flat back a couple more times or in a regular class if you have any pain in your back, because this really stabilizes against the strength, the weight of the legs. This is a good place to feel the use of the flat back to protect. And then keep your back flat. You're still tilting the pelvis. And we'll go to the crisscross. Press the belly button down and rotate the shoulder girdle. Elbows staying wide, reaching with the armpits. Okay, and then bring the knees into the chest, arms down to the floor, relax. Open the knees out so you're in your neutral. Lower the left foot. Lower the right foot. Relax. So always you have the option of using the flat back if it feels more stable, more protective. All right, we're going to go to the left side for the clamshells. I want you first to come to the position where you're just in a comfortable bent knee position. This should allow it to be pretty easy for your neutral spine to be in place. We're going to do the 90 degree, but I want you to be careful as we move to 90 that you don't curl into a fetal position. So you want to keep the spine neutral and just make the angle deeper in the hip. So we're going to bring the knees and the feet to the front of the mat without tucking your tail under. We're going to stay neutral. Engage the belt around your neutral spine and then roll out in the socket. Let's do this 10 rotations. We're keeping neutral. So we're just wrapping the belt. You don't need your organ lift here. You shouldn't feel any sense of stretch or lengthening in the lower spine. When you're done with 10, relax, and we're going to switch to the other side. And begin first in the relaxed side lying position with the knees bent comfortably. Feel the neutral spine, and be sure that that gets maintained as you bring your knees and your feet to the front of the mat. So you shouldn't feel like you're sticking your butt out behind you too far, but you don't want to curl into a fetal position either. The tailbone is just relaxed. Spine with its little natural lower back curve. And around that neutral position, snug your belt and roll the left thigh out of the socket 10 times. When you're done, relax, and we'll turn onto the back. Take the constructive rest pose. And let's stretch hips and legs a little bit. Engage the inner core, feel the belt snug. Wrap the ribs around, imprint the back ribs. Lift your right foot up, stay neutral, and bring your right ankle to your left knee. Maintain your neutral, so give a little extra attention to your ribs wrapping around as you lift your left foot up. Don't flatten the back. We're going to keep the tailbone on the floor and your neutral spine. Left hand behind the back of the left thigh, and we're going to stretch the left hamstring. When you're stretching the hamstring, it's really helpful to keep the back neutral rather than flat, so you emphasize the hamstring, not the back. So keep the tailbone down and extend the left foot to the ceiling. We're having your neutral spine in place, and then bend the knee. And again, reach up, stretch the back of the left leg, and come on back down. One more time, stretch up, stretch the back of the left leg, and come back down and relax the left leg. Now keep your neutral spine and pull your left thigh in towards the belly. We're going to do 30 seconds with neutral so you can feel the difference. And now we're stretching the right hip, maintaining the neutral spine. And then for 30 more seconds, we're going to flatten the back. And this is for your comparison, whether you get a better stretch in the right hip when your back is neutral or flexed. And then move back into neutral. Support the neutral, lower your left foot. Keep supporting the neutral, lower the right foot. Relax in neutral. And stabilize neutral to lift the left foot up to the right knee. Maintain the neutral spine as you lift the right foot up. You want to feel the tailbone on the floor. And keep it down on the floor as you extend your right leg up to the ceiling to stretch the right hamstring and bend it back down. Keep neutral, keep the tailbone on the floor, lower back's in its natural curve, stretch the right leg up and back down. And once again. And back down. Now do not flatten the back right off. You can pull your right leg in a little closer and relax the breath. Feel the left hip stretch. Feel what it's like when your spine is in neutral. And then tilt the pelvis, flatten the back, and continue to feel that stretch now, what it's like with the spine flat. So you can continue over the next few sessions to experiment with which of these you prefer. But please, with the hamstring stretch, always neutral. And then stabilize your neutral, or move out to neutral, stabilize it, lower the right foot, and then the left. Relax into constructive rest. And then roll to your side and slowly come up into a standing position. Actually, no, come up into all fours. And we're going to work with that spinal extension and flexion gently. So as you inhale, I want you to think of your abdominal muscles staying strong under the belly and at the same time reaching your tailbone and the top of your head away from each other. And then on your exhale, tuck your tail between your legs. Feel your belly button come to your spine. Drop your head down, then bend your elbows and move your hips back to your heels. And feel some stretch in the lower back. And come up to all fours again. Support under the abdomen. And then reach the crown and the tail away from each other without collapsing into that lower back curve. Supporting it but extending it. And then tuck the tail, drop the head, bend the elbows, move back to gently stretch the lower back. And one more time. Come forward. Support under the belly and reach the tail and the crown away from each other. And then tuck the tail, drop your head, bend your elbows, and come back. Feel your belly button coming to the spine. Stay for a breath. And lift yourself up so that you're sitting on your knees and come up slowly into standing. All right, that'll do it. I hope that's helpful. If you have any questions, let me know. So facility with the neutral spine and the flat back may just be a matter of skill, or it could be protective if you have some spinal condition. All right, be well. Please sign in. Take care. Thanks. Hey, Victor. Hey, Craig. Bye-bye.